An anti-Trump art project designed to continue until the president was no longer in power has been shut down.
He will not divide us! He will not divide us!
And the project called He Will Not Divide Us was launched by Hollywood actor Shia LaBeouf along with two other artists. They installed a camera on a museum's wall in New York, inviting people to join the protest. However, the museum has withdrawn its support, saying the exhibit became a flashpoint for violence. The 24/7 live stream then became a black screen with the words, "The museum has abandoned us." Our correspondent Caleb Mopan has details.
Starting on Inauguration Day, artist Shia LaBeouf led people in repeating and chanting the phrase, "He will not divide us," in front of a camera here outside the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens, New York.
He will not divide us! He will not divide us!
It was intended to be a kind of protest against Donald Trump, but pretty soon, things got out of hand.
Divide us! We must secure the existence of the white people on the streets. He will not divide us!
Hitler did nothing wrong. Hey! Yeah, why do you attack me?
Trump supporters and others who intended to troll or mock the project continued to show up.
And he will not divide us! He will unite us!
Scuffles broke out. Police were stationed around the museum 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now the museum has announced that it's pulling the plug in order to protect the safety of its hundreds of thousands of visitors and patrons.
It clearly was not working as it intended to. If the intention of it is to not be divided, yet obviously it's creating violence, then it's not working.
If that's the message that the museum was trying to fund, like, it's a good message, but if it's causing too much chaos, then completely understand it.
It kind of showed the opposite. I mean, there were fights here and all that, and it seemed like people were divided.
Yeah. It sucks.
I think they should keep it going. I mean, I don't think it's gonna cause violence. It's only the people that did cause the violence. They should be the ones that are being, persecuted.
It's an interesting social and art experiment, but ultimately I don't think it worked, which is too bad.
Now, the artist says that he's been abandoned by the museum. He himself was arrested in a scuffle.
Not divide us! You will not divide us! You will not divide us!
Now, the mantra of the project might have been, "He will not divide us," but ironically, it seems to have highlighted just how divided Americans really are. Even here in a solidly liberal metropolis, in a kind of bohemian enclave outside of an art museum, Americans clearly just don't see eye to eye. Caleb Mopan, RT, New York.
Joining the protest against Donald Trump are several big international companies like Apple and Starbucks, which have publicly spoken out against attempts to impose travel restrictions. William Whiteman looks at the possible motives behind their stance.
Introducing the vanguard of the anti-Trump revolution, a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Starbucks now weighing in on the temporary travel ban placed on Syrian refugees. The company says it plans to hire 10,000 refugees over the next 5 years.
They're only fractionally better than the people who started selling "I Can't Breathe" t-shirts for $10 a pop at Eric Garner protests. 10,000 jobs for 10,000 refugees over the next 5 years. Wonderful, you say. How noble. But what if I told you that only amounts to a 4% increase on Starbucks' current global workforce? At their predicted rate of expansion over the next 5 years, Starbucks are only going to have to employ 1 refugee for every 3 stores. So what does all this show you? Well, clearly they care more about being seen to care about progressive values than they actually care about said progressive values. If Starbucks really cares about refugees, then where were they when almost half of their potential future employees were literally drowning in the Mediterranean throughout 2016? Your head CEO alone took home $21.8 million last year, guys. Can you have coughed something up? The truth is, these days, corporate activism sells. Everyone's getting involved. Starbucks, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, all of which, by the way, share a pathological love of tax avoidance. I mean, sure, you can make the whole, "oh, at least they're doing something" argument, but by allowing corporate giants like these to exploit human suffering and social unrest for the sake of highly profitable faux altruism, we're only helping to prop up the very system that continually gets us into these messes in the first place.